Hello all, and it's been a little while. There's a lot of things I want to talk about, because I haven't been on here in forever. And probably some things I will not talk about until Sunday, when I do my review of Extreme Rules. But there's a whole list of stuff that I want to talk about, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the world of pro wrestling. Because you see, there was pro wrestling outside of WWE, there's wrestling outside of TNA. So there's a whole world of pro wrestling, and we want to talk about the whole world of pro wrestling. So anyways, let's talk about this stuff. So, let's see, there's a whole lot, let's see, since last time I was on here, because you see, Jared, you can go unscripted, and it works, and it's fine, and there's no reason to be scared, and there's no reason to be afraid of it, because it's a fine and wonderful thing. You let your thoughts flow freely. You don't have to read them. You see, this is why I'm the master, Jared, and you are still the student. Anyways, that's a joke that none of you will get. That's okay. Alright, so, anyways, let's get going. So, I guess we can start with WWE, some WWE stuff. The network, of course, the first preliminary results came out. I think it was around 650 for the network subscribers, which is like an okay number apparently. The week of, it sounded like it would maybe much higher than that, somewhere around 7 something. But that's not what we got. And even some people have thought maybe we might even get 1 million, but that's not even what we got. Though they're still projecting 1 million to at the end of the year. Though I think to do that, they can't be putting on pay-per-views like what it looks like we're going to get Sunday with Extreme Rules. It has to be stuff that is better than what people are going to see on Raw, so that people, they one of the things that they really push is that, hey, you get all these pay-per-views free. Well, people want to watch the pay-per-views for that to be a something grand and wonderful. The other thing is, I guess secretly now you can, if there's links, and if you have my YouTube channel, or not my YouTube channel, my Twitter account, I've retweeted it, I believe. We're starting to put up the Clash of the Champions, the WCW Clash of the Champion shows. I think there's one up now, but you have to know the link. You have to know where to look at. You can't really search for it on the network. You have to have the exact link for it, and then you can plug it in, and you can. I think it's one from '93, if I remember right. But hopefully they're going to be putting up more of that, because that's what they need. They need more content. I think that's one of the things that is really missing. Is a lot of content, a lot of stuff that people want to see, a lot of stuff that people feel like, hey, there's all this other stuff to see. I think the Daniel Bryan documentary they did after WrestleMania was amazing. The Warrior documentary was very good, I thought. I had a few little issues with it, but nothing, nothing horrible. That was particularly, giving how fast they turned it around. Though, they were definitely going to do a documentary. Though I don't know if they were going to turn it around that quick, but that was pretty cool too. So there's stuff on there that's good, but there's just not enough of it, and they need to start putting up more and more stuff. But especially if they're going to say we're just like Netflix. Well, you don't have as much stuff as Netflix, so we need more stuff than Netflix. Anyways, so there's that. Extreme Rules, like I said, it doesn't look that strong. If you're going to convince people that that's why they need to buy the network, is because, hey, you get the pay-per-views for free. We need better pay-per-views than what you're giving us. So there's that. And tonight, or this morning, it may have already happened by the time most of you have seen this, would be the next New Japan major show, which is the Wrestling Tanaku show, which has some implications, because the main event is Okada versus this guy, maybe you heard of him, called AJ Styles. Yeah. And that's the main event, and if AJ Styles wins, that's going to impact the ROH shows, which everyone has been so gloriously and behind after they announced the card, and I will get to that in a minute. But the show itself, I'm not going to say it's the best looking show, because it's really not. There's a lot of tag matches on here. The dark match has Kamatsu Kushida Tiger Mask and Tenzan taking on Mascara Dorado, Ibushi, El Desperado, and Captain New Japan. That'll probably be like 5 minutes of okayness. You have Alex Kozlov and Rocky Romero taking on Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson. I think there's like 9 matches on this show, so this probably won't go very long, unfortunately. If this would go long, I think it'd be really great, but I just don't expect it to be. Then we have a tag match. Lazuka and Yano taking on Shelton Benjamin and Suzuki. I don't expect a lot out of that match. Kojima taking on Wes Briscoe for the NWA Championship. Don't expect a lot out of that match. Nakanishi and Nagata taking on Shibata and Goto. I like the guys in this match, but I don't think it's going to be that good of a match. Ibushi versus Taguchi. That could be a great match. Ishii and Hama. That could be also a great match. Then you have an 8-man of Jushin Liger, Naito, Maccabi, Tanahashi, Tamatongo, Bad Luck Fale, Doc Gallows, and Carl Anderson. Basically, you know, the Bullet Club stuff that we've been going on for forever. So there is that. I have Sakuraba and Nakamura taking on the Gracies on that, and then of course Okada taking on AJ Styles. Which that will probably make or break the show, that main event. So there we go. And like I said, that of course affects the Ring of Honor shows for that will be coming up, which will be the iPay-per-view shows, which will be New Japan, ROH joint shows. So the cards for these shows were announced, and everyone went kind of crazy because it wasn't what anybody wanted, which didn't really surprise me, because to get what people wanted, you couldn't have the guys that New Japan was bringing in. New Japan was bringing in their top level guys to get the matches that the types of matches that people wanted. New Japan was going to have to bring in like Ishii, Ishii, Ibushi, probably Naito, Yujiro, and guys like that. Not main eventers, but guys, probably upper mid-card guys. And then you could probably have more of what people wanted, but that's not what you have. You have, you got Tanahashi, who's their #1 star. You have Okada, who is their champion. You're going to have, and then, of course, you'll have Nakamura, who is their #3 guy in the promotion, maybe #2. So, right there, you can't really hope that you're going to get these dream matches that you're going to want, because New Japan's going to want to protect their guys. This is and people, I can't get why people don't get this. Basically, what you have is, you have Ring of Honor, you have New Japan taking on DDT, if this was going on in Japan. That's what you have. It's not New Japan taking on Dragon Gate. It's not New Japan taking on, even probably All Japan, for various reasons. One of the reasons being, and I know people hate it when people bring this up, but it's true, the vast majority of the roster in Ring of Honor are juniors when it comes to New Japan. So you're not going to get a lot of your great matches that you want, particularly since these matches are on iPay-per-view, and iPay-per-view is a much bigger deal in Japan than it is here in the United States, so New Japan's going to want to protect their guys. So, after all of that, let's see, the Toronto show will be Tanahashi and Liger taking on Nakamura and Jado. We're pretty much keeping everything separate for those shows. You'll have the Bullet Club, AJ Styles, Machine Gun Anderson, taking on Okada and Gedo. You've got Wanatabe taking on Michael Elgin. That's really the only kind of on that show. Forever Hooligans taking on the Time Splitters and the Young Bucks. That match should be awesome. And then for Ring of Honor, you've got Adam Cole taking on Kevin Steen for the Ring of Honor Championship. You have Jay Lethal taking on Ciampa, Matt Taven, and Silas Young. And you also have, which was just announced, you have Mike Bennett taking on ACH. You have Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly taking on Mark Jay Briscoe and BJ Whitmer and Jimmy Jacobs. That match, and we'll see. Well, that'll kind of depend. And of course, you have Roderick Strong and Cedric Alexander taking on each other. We know this match. We know this match. We know that match. We know that. So that's pretty much everything right there. And then in New York, which is really the bigger of the shows, is the New York show. You have, and this is what got people really upset, and again, it's because people don't get it. You'll have the winner of Adam Cole and Kevin Steen, which I imagine will be Adam Cole, taking on Jushin Thunder Liger, because Liger can do the job to Adam Cole, and no one's really going to mind. You're going to have Okada taking on Michael Elgin right now, though if AJ Styles wins, then it's going to be AJ Styles versus Michael Elgin, and that's probably what we're going to get, as much as people don't want to hear that. So, yeah. And then you're going to have this. You have the Young Bucks taking on Red Dragon. That should be really good. You have Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows taking on J. Mark Briscoe. I hope that match rocks. I really do. That's kind of a match that I personally wanted to see. You have Jay Lethal taking on Kushida. That should be really good. You have Nakamura taking on Kevin Steen. It looks like it's going to be Kevin Steen or Adam Cole. It'll be Kevin Steen. That match should be great. And then you have the match that pissed everybody off. And people need to understand this. You have Tanahashi taking on Michael Bennett. And people were like, you're wasting Tanahashi taking on Michael Bennett. Two things that are probably happening here. Well, one I know is happening, and the other might be happening. But imagine that first, Tanahashi is, for those of you not aware, is not the most healthiest guy right now, and they're not going to waste Tanahashi going out there and busting his ass with somebody at a Ring of Honor show and not a big New Japan show. Just not going to happen. Mike Bennett wrestles theoretically the safest style of anybody in Ring of Honor. And when you have Maria with him, then you can have all sorts of other stuff going on. And this is probably also a tryout match for Michael Bennett, because Michael Bennett is one of the few bigger guys on the Ring of Honor roster. And it is no secret that New Japan wants, more, foreign heavyweights. So that's what I see going on here. I know a lot of other people, probably don't feel that way. As far as I know, I think that's everything that's been announced for there. There'll be other stuff going on too. But I think people, kind of overreacted. I think people need to understand exactly what's going on here. This is just, the first kind of salvo. New Japan brought over the major talent. Their major talent isn't necessarily going to put on dream matches with a bunch of Ring of Honor guys. Next round, if you get guys like Ishii, there's a bunch of guys that Ishii could put on matches with that would be awesome. Yujio's the same way. Tenzan would be, or not Tenzan, Kojima would be the same way. There's a whole bunch of guys that you can do. And the other thing with New Japan, with Ring of Honor, with this, if Ring of Honor gets a good deal with New Japan, what that means is that they can sign guys, maybe on kind of the cheap, with the idea of, well, if you sign with us, you'll have an in with New Japan. And you can do tours with New Japan, and you can make up the money you're not making here in New Japan. Just things that I don't think people are thinking about when they're thinking about this. And I understand people have they're being fans. They don't want to look at it that way. I completely get it. I look at it completely different, of course, and so that's what we have. And of course, the other big news out of Ring of Honor is they're doing an actual pay-per-view. Yes, on TV, pay-per-view. They haven't done one, ever. A lot of that had to do with cost. Apparently, with TNA's numbers being as low as they are, and them doing the tape pay-per-views and so few live pay-per-views, and with the network and the cable companies wanting more live stuff that's not WWE, so that they have an option. Apparently, Ring of Honor got a really good deal to put on a pay-per-view. They don't have to, it won't be a make-or-break thing. They could try it out. I would imagine if it works, then Final Battle will probably, be the next one if it works. For it to work, it's got to get about 10,000 buys. They've not started hyping it yet. I don't think they'll start hyping it until after the New Japan shows. and we'll have to wait and see who they have, on the card. I know they want AJ Styles on the card, but AJ has a match the same day in New Japan, though he could fly back and make the show because of the time difference. But or maybe it's the day before. I can't remember. There's a way for him to make the show, to do the New Japan show, and make it back and actually do the Ring of Honor show. If that's the case, I think that will help them a lot. But definitely, they have a fairly, if you kind of follow, even though they don't give out the ratings, apparently they do have a pretty good following throughout their stations throughout the United States. So we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to see how it goes. Hopefully they do really well. Because more wrestling is always better. And other than that, the other thing that will be going on this month will, of course, be Chikara, which is kind of crazy when you figure out that they have, well, they're having a show on May 25th that there is no card for. Really, there has been no one has really announced that. I guess Jimmy Jacobs is the only one that's really been announced that's going to be on the show. And other than that, that's all we know about the show. And the show originally sold out. They put in more seats. The show probably will sell out. They have their first show in Chicago, which they sold out. So then they put a second show the same day in Chicago. That show looks like it's going to sell out. Again, no one knows who's going to be on the show. No one knows the angles. No one knows anything. It's pretty fascinating. And I'm not saying, and when I say sell out, look, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it's going to be 1,000 people. That first show will be close to 1,000 people. I think the Chicago shows will probably be closer to, maybe 500. But, it's pretty spectacular given, everything Chikara went through with kind of shutting down, now coming back, all of that sort of thing. So there is all of that as well. So I can't think if there's anything else out there to really talk about. I don't think there is. I will be back, of course, probably Sunday, talking about Extreme Rules, and because I do have the network, and I am enjoying it for the most part. I will say, if the content doesn't improve and the pay-per-views aren't all that spectacular, I probably will not re-up when my 6 months is up. I will freely say that. And right now, it's probably me not signing up, but we'll have to wait and see. So there we go. But with that, I am out. Have a good one. Later.